Hello and good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever everybody's from. Hey,
Hey, on a good front,
yes.
Orion has splashed down safe and sound.
Yes, welcome home, Orion, right? Like, welcome.
Yes,
Welcome back to the planet. Okay. Well, that's a good thing. I did see that on Twitter. That is a good way to open up, quiz.
466,000 miles round trip, baby.
Wow. There's some mileage. And still looks good. Look at
I've been calling NASA all morning to try and get them to extend their warranty, but they haven't answered.
that. When they got call blocker for warranty harassment calls, I got to get one of those. Does that work? Those are the calls that always get through the warranty. Like, I don't know why. Like, I don't know what they use, but my call blocker doesn't stop them. I don't know what it is. It's like some fake 800 thing that they use. I don't know. Well, welcome everybody in the chat. It's gonna be. I see. Quiz has got you ready for the rodeo already out there. But what a way
You know
to
what to
get them
say?
started. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Save a
Well,
horse, ride a cowboy.
exactly. Oh gosh, it's Sunday, and I'm half, well, 3/4 of the way awake. I'm only 3/4 of the way into my first cup of coffee. So fair warning. Fair
Oh
warning.
no.
Mhm. But on that line, the reason I'm only 3/4 into that cup of coffee is I was reading so much this morning on
Mm.
so many lawsuits that are going on that have the T word in them, that and all of this stuff.
Tit?
Yeah, nope,
Oh,
almost. It could
okay. Hold
be. It's close.
on.
It's
Hold on. Let me get it.
close.
I'll get there. I'll get there.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
Titastic?
No, there's no tastic in this at all. No,
It
no,
wouldn't
no.
be anybody like I couldn't rhyme it with frump, could I?
Mm, it could actually. A matter of fact, it most certainly does actually. I
Oh.
I telling you, quiz, I can't even keep up with the amount of lawsuits that are coming down the pike with this guy. I can't. I like, and I love to read legal stuff, but I just get sick of seeing his name. Anybody else feel like that? Like, I love it, but
Well,
it is
most
getting.
people get tired of reading it after the first brief because of
Mm,
the just absolutely horridness of his lawyers who can't argue a point. They just, well, we're
well,
bringing this
well,
to court because.
because of, but that, just one little tidbit I'll give you, and I won't go into great details, but in the current appeal that is going on in regards to whether he can be civilly sued for monetary issues, that in particular, because of January 6th, the Capitol Police and everybody, including Salva and a couple, have put a lawsuit out there against him for the damages that he caused and the grief that he gave everybody. And there it did get knocked down in February by Judge Mehta, who said that basically Trump's lawyers' argument that giving a speech in general is a presidential act. No. Judge Mehta said, no, because the speech he gave wasn't presidential, it was campaigning. And that was monumental, actually, when it comes legally to where the line is on whether you get civil immunity acting as a government official or not.
Mm.
Very interesting, isn't it? Because
Yeah, I
if
mean,
that
it's
stands, I mean, just take that little nugget there. I
yeah,
mean,
it's all going to depend on what's in the speech.
But exactly, that's what made us sit in that way. So right now it's with the 3-judge panel again because it's being appealed because Maida slapped it down and said, no, you don't get civil immunity against this because that wasn't presidential duty. That was campaigning. Okay.
Right,
And
right.
that is a distinct line there with that law. If they say that then campaign is something else. Like you can't campaign as the president and still have presidential immunity. That's huge because the way they write the presidential immunity is it's all encompassing. Like it is everything except a criminal act.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna I'm gonna take a different view on this.
Hmm.
I think
I hope so.
when they wrote these laws, they never in, they never envisioned that a president would lead an insurrection.
No, they did. I don't think they
At least,
nope. They
and
did not have this man in mind when most of these
so these
things were
laws
written.
were congenial time when people actually acted halfway decent as politicians. We knew they weren't lying,
Hmm.
but they weren't at least out there saying, if we don't win, we should just take it over by force.
Oh, the tweet. Oh my god. Oh, see. Oh, well, there's a way to roll into that one. There's a lot of heat coming back on that one since we're going to talk. I mean, this is political review, right? So
This
we
is
could we we
political.
could talk then for both sides of it about the number of Republicans that came out that were quite offended by that tweet. Like, okay, so I didn't win. If you either put me back in charge or we're burning it all down to hell with the Constitution. You're not going to use that Constitution against
We
me
we
anymore. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it.
our Constitution Party,
Mhm.
our Foundation Party,
Mhm.
our Federalist Party has now become our tyrannical obsessor party.
Yes, some of them, yes. But I have to say, like Mike Pence came out and he said, I think anyone who serves in public office, anyone who aspires to serve in public office or serve again in public office, should make it clear that they will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Well said, Mike Pence.
But
Thank you.
only if it means they get to be president.
Exactly. Well said. So if you were the president, you want to be the president, you ever want to run for an office again, you might want to stick with that constitution, sir. But I don't know. Nope. Nope. That was like the whole like what is it they say? Like, well, if I can't have my way, I'm just taking my toys and going home.
Now, I
Like
want to ask
that,
you a question, and I don't mean to sound defensive at this point,
okay.
but let's say it was 50 years ago,
Mhm.
and a president said something on the same effect that Trump said that we should just damn the Constitution and put me back into office. How many people in Washington would have stood up immediately and said bullshit?
They would have, and also there would have been the public shaming. I mean, there should have been a thing called shame. Like the man has no shame. He doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. I public outcry would have been a lot worse. There would have been no one would actually publicly support a statement like that against the Constitution
But how
50
many
years ago.
people this time around didn't stand up and say that's wrong?
No,
Who
behind
just
closed
kept
doors, they're going,
quiet?
"Oh, no, no, no." But are they saying anything? Hell no. No one they're not saying it. You're
Yeah.
right. You're right. It's like they're just letting it go. It's like I do think everybody should have their opinion in free speech. I do. I do. But I'm just that stick in the mud, that
Yeah,
just
but you
that naggly little person who says, there are limits to when misinformation and just contrarianism cause damage. And
yeah,
like,
there was a certain president in
yeah.
South America recently
Oh,
who
mm-hmm,
decided to go this same route and say, "Well, you're all fired, and we're gonna, you know,
mm-hmm,
terminate the Constitution." And the next day, he was arrested.
right?
I mean, I don't understand how it is.
You know why he was arrested? Because he was going against his own government. And in most countries, that's illegal. Like it is here. Like,
It's illegal here. I mean, don't get me
yeah,
wrong,
we
but
have
when
words
you
for that.
decide to
We have
say,
we
"To
have
hell with our Constitution, we should do away with it," that kind of doesn't sound
exactly.
political to me as more as it sounds the
Does
Beatles
this
singing "We Want a Revolution."
does it sound like you have your country's the people's best interest in mind when you just want to burn it all down to the ground because you didn't get your way? Like I don't think
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
mean, and that's the
Mm,
point. This isn't something that came up, you know, only the damn fools actually believe that Trump, well, 1 in 16,
mhm,
sorry, and 1 in 20 because he didn't. He's lost 2 elections now, and
mhm,
both have been by, popular vote. And now
mhm,
he lost also by the electoral vote. But everybody saw it happen.
mhm.
There weren't any, problems that was noticeable, and his own administration told him that.
Well, yes, it is. It is.
And yet,
And this is how we got
this
here.
is how he
So,
still
yeah.
reacts.
And this is how we got here. So, like, just this way. I mean, he's had a bad couple of weeks. Would you admit? This is a bad couple of weeks
He
legally.
is
Uh,
probably,
we lost
yeah,
his organization lost the lawsuit in New York.
yep.
They are guilty. I mean, it's kind of hard for them to actually defend themselves when the chief financial officers came out and said, "We did it. We did it.
Yeah. We
Here's
did
all the
it. Trump
evidence.
knew about it.
We
He
did it.
approved of it.
Trump knew about it. Everybody knows about it because the way this man is, no one's going to believe that he doesn't know what's going on in his businesses. That he is not like, there's no way. Okay, there's just no way. But the evidence was all there that they're guilty on that. So there was that. Then there was the way the statute of limitations created a 1 year look back window for adult sexual assault victims in the state of New York.
Hmm.
Mm, for 1 year, they can go back and they can go against everybody. So Jean E. Carroll's defamation suit about her assault with Mr. Trump or ex-President Trump has been amended to include that assault. Now that went out. That was like boom, and I didn't see as much in the press as I thought I would about that. And I do understand it's a little iffy because it's a really old, like it was more than 20 some years ago. But it also brings to the fact that I said before with that appeals case that Maida had said it's just a campaign. You were just campaigning. That's not necessarily a presidential act just because you're making a speech. Because part of the argument in that lawsuit is that he can't even be sued because he was president at the time that he made the defamation statements about this case. But then he made that argument and the court supported him, and then in November of 2022, when he's no longer president, he came out and said all the same stuff that he's getting sued for defamation about. So he said it almost word for word again in more tweets and in another campaign speech while not being the president.
Well,
Okay.
there you go.
So there you go. So like there was your argument that you just spent all this money for your lawyers to make for the last 2 years and you just tossed it out the window because they just refiled with the new evidence. um it's ridiculous. That part, like I was like, who are your lawyers and where is your gag? Because dude,
Now,
like,
you know,
dude, the last thing you do in a defamation case is re-defame the party. Okay, you just like
you know,
let
he's probably really sad right now.
I think
I mean, he
it's
lost his special master, and his
mhm.
people, some of us know, losing
Oh,
your master
but
can be a really hard thing.
he got a special counsel to replace the special master.
He did that.
He did it that, and you see, so, like, it can't be too lonely because I think that the special counsel is gonna be all up in his friendliness there, getting to know him pretty damn well, because there's 2 issues that they're focusing on, and that is the Georgia election violations and the January 6th insurrection, and that is what they are looking at completely, okay? And they're just making sure that everything was handled appropriately and what's gonna go forth. Because January 6th, right, quiz, they have decided to come forward with they have enough of it. They are
They are
recommending.
doing criminal referrals to the
Yeah,
DOJ, but don't get
mhm.
excited. That only
No, no.
means they're going to the
Mhm,
DOJ saying, "Here's what we found, and here's what we think you should do." That does not hold the DOJ's feet to the
mhm,
fire. They don't have to do anything with it.
mhm. No, they don't, but it is that they're not just ignoring it. They're saying, "Hey, this is what we see," and they putting it forward, which is what that committee was supposed to do, look at it and decide if anything, what recommendation they would make, and
Right.
that's what they're doing. It doesn't mean anything until the DOJ picks it up,
What
and
what would be nice, though,
the
is if
special
the
counsel looks at that, though. Whether
oh,
or
yeah.
not the DOJ picks it up, they have to say whether it's appropriate or not. That's why the special counsel is there now, because these issues are so hot because he is running for president now, that it has to have a special look at to make sure that
But
before it goes through that it's appropriate.
what I would like to see the January 6th committee do is when they hand over the referrals to the DOJ, also make
Mhm.
them public.
You know what? Well, here I could see. You know what? I would like that too, quiz. But let me just tell you what I could actually see happening, and they might be correct. By making those public, are they not interfering with the public campaign?
No.
Why not?
Okay, if I'm running a public campaign, let's say I'm running for president, and it's, New Year's Eve, and so I'm on my way home, and I get pulled over,
Hmm.
and they charge me with a DUI. Do you think the next day I'm not gonna be on the front page of that paper saying, "Candidate Candidate Inquisitor charged with DUI"?
And aren't they going to be screaming, "That's just a slander against me because I'm running for office"? Yeah, both sides. I see. Like both sides could come out and say that. Yeah.
So, I
Mhm.
mean, we do it now. We do it with everybody who is out there, so and so's
Mhm.
been charged with this, so and so's been charged with that. Hey, the January 6th committee is just reporting what they're doing.
True. And what they found in the look back, but
Yeah,
the Department of Justice has already decided not to press charges on Matt Goetz
Matt
and
Gates.
Rudy Gates. Yes, I can't goat. He's a goat. I don't know what to call that man. Yeah, Gates and Rudy Giuliani. They have not pursued, even with the
Well,
evidence
I
that
heard
was
the Matt
presented.
Gates investigation is still ongoing.
Well, that's intriguing.
I mean, oh, are we talking about the same thing that he was being looked into for?
We're only talking in regards to January 6th and
Oh,
also election fraud
no, no,
and
he's still under investigation for something else.
no, his personal investigation on all he did politically over there and his state about that, that's separate. No, I'm
Oh, no,
talking
no,
about
no. This is something not even
in
political.
regards
It's
to the
the
election.
Mann Act.
All right, not the Mann Act. No,
Yes.
I'm not talking about that. Like,
Okay.
that's his problem. I hope that stays his problem. They should stay on that. Like, people, stay on that. Stay
Yep.
on that. That's not right.
Stay on now.
But on this one, in regards to the elections, in regards to January 6th, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Gates really wasn't that big of a deal in the whole January 6th thing.
Mhm.
As far as Giuliani, he's literally going to lose his law license.
Well, he's got some definite complaints against him there, and they really need to look
They
into
they
that.
are doing impeachment right now on him.
And as
So
they should, you can't act like that. Like you have a
yeah.
different standard that you need to uphold.
As a matter of fact,
Um,
there's a few lawyers that Trump has hired that are in a lot of trouble. As
you
a
mean
matter
the
of fact,
lawyers that need the lawyers?
yeah, I
Like,
mean, MAGA has now started to be called Make attorneys get attorneys.
That's good. I like that. Make attorneys get attorney, but it's so damn true. And the attorney pool that he can select from is getting smaller and smaller and smaller
Yeah,
and smaller.
there's not a
Because
whole lot that'll work with him right now,
mm,
which is fine. I mean, he did it to himself, so.
and I don't know. It's
But
just
I'm sure that Don Jr. will go to law school and demand to be given
the
20
top.
years to graduate
Hmm.
and get his license.
And he will be the top Trump attorney. He'll
Yeah.
be the Trump attorney for sure. Like he'll be on retainer for life. Yeah, there we go. But isn't he already like on retainer for life, like right now? But no, there's just so much going on. There's the documents lawsuit in
Yes.
Florida, and
And here's something interesting if y'all haven't been following the documents. The DOJ came out, three-man panel, three-judge panel,
mhm.
and slapped down Judge, what's her name?
Cannon. That would be Judge
Judge
Cannon. I'll
Cannon
say her
in
name.
Florida
Yo, Judge
saying
Cannon.
saying, "What the fuck were you thinking?"
Yes.
Uh, and said, "You need to just, you're gonna have to take all this back. There's no such, you overstepped your bounds
You know what? They said it
by a
so beautifully
wide
with
margin."
using words like "there is no president, you have no authority." Like
Exactly.
exactly, and I'm like, whoa, like double smack. There isn't
And
a case
and
that is precedent that you could actually, not that you brought one forward in your defense, like you didn't even
right.
cite precedents when you did what you did. You just there isn't one, and you had no authority to do that. Boom. So there goes special
What happened the day after was even more interesting when the DOJ filed with Judge Cannon,
Mhm,
because the DOJ's order doesn't take effect for 7 days. But
mm,
within those 7 days, Judge Cannon was requiring the DOJ to meet certain dates.
mhm,
So the DOJ filed with Judge Cannon saying, "We don't mean to sound petty, but your order will be done in 7 days. So you
mhm.
should probably push everything back at least another 7 days because it doesn't matter."
It does right, and
Judge
hopefully
Cannon
that
came
doesn't.
back without even arguing and said, "You're right. 7 days extension is granted on all my
Exactly.
dates."
Oh, and did you also notice that they didn't appeal that? Like, they also had 7 days to appeal it, and
And
judge
that's the
and Trump's
interesting part, isn't
lawyers
it?
didn't come forward at all. I don't know if they were too busy fighting their own lawsuits, like, the or issues,
Or they
or maybe
realize
they
that
got a
they're
little
just
confused
fucked.
on which lawsuit they're actually working on. I don't know, but they didn't come forward, and they didn't file on it, and
It was not appealed, so there is no special master.
nope,
He
there
lost
isn't.
his job.
And oh, but on the other hand, they also slapped down that the DOJ wanted sanctions against Trump for not providing the rest of the documents after they found more
Well,
documents.
was it the DOJ or was it the special counsel that tried to get Trump to go in for contempt for that?
Well, he did, and also the DOJ.
Yeah,
DOJ is asking. They petitioned them for it. The DOJ actually petitioned them for
I
it.
can understand in Trump's
Mhm,
defense on this one. I can
mhm.
understand because haven't we all, when we're moving from one location to another, forgot that we put some very important items like, oh, I don't know, nuclear device codes and things
True,
in an off space
true.
storage locker?
True. We just don't, as regular citizens, we just don't normally sign affidavits saying it's true, though, that we have nothing and call everybody else a liar that it's not true. And we have no documents and you're making it up. Like, no, that don't normally happen. Like, we don't normally
Really?
go
We don't
that
we don't
balls
run
to the
into
wall
that?
about. No, I have never signed an affidavit to.
I thought we all had
Mm,
nuclear documents with us and we just carried them
mm,
around willy-nilly
mm-mm,
and left them at
mm-mm.
McDonald's or some shit like
And
that.
then when caught red-handed to just say, "Well, there are no more. You're just making a big deal out of it. So what?" And then they go into a storage. Wait, can I just say, like, we're not talking about his office.
No.
Absent-mindedly left the briefcase at a location where he was traveling. That didn't happen because this was in a storage locker. These were
An
in a
off-site
storage locker,
storage
an
locker.
off-site storage locker, okay,
You
which
know,
means
like you and I
somebody
would get when we're
like,
moving and we want
which
to
means
stick some
people
stuff
had to
away.
pick it up, pack it up, and move it over there. No. So no, no, no. This is not, oh, oops, in the performance of my duties, I misplaced a piece of paper. Oh, well, sue me for misfiling.
But
No,
it's
that's
even
not it.
worse.
That's not
These
it.
are top secret. They found some more top secret documents
I know. Like,
in a
yeah,
storage
yeah.
locker somewhere.
It's
I'm
it's
like,
almost
what the fuck?
it's almost like they go, okay, you caught me. You think that's bad? Wait till you see what you find next. Like it's just like, wait, that wasn't bad enough. I have to double down and make it even worse. Like you're gonna find, like you're
Exactly.
gonna. That's why they're in the storage locker because they were like, "Oops, they didn't find the really, really bad ones. Maybe we should lock them up so they don't find them because now we're really in trouble." And they go and they put them in the storage locker. I don't know if that happened, but it's just it
I would
reminds me
bet
of a
that
a, a
these were put in the storage locker at the same time that they saw him taking them out of Mar-a-Lago. And
well,
some went on a plane. I bet that none of them went on that plane. It just looked like they were loading shit on that plane and they assumed they were the documents. But after that plane left, I bet whoever was driving that limo took them down to use self-storage and
yes,
stuck them in a storage locker. It's like,
it, uh,
makes
you know,
sense.
no, I do. And you know what? And I know it like we get up here and then everybody's like, "Oh, you guys, you just do that stream just so you can bash Trump." I'm sorry. It's almost like running political parody because it just
Well,
gives
we
us
don't
so
even have to
much.
run the
We don't
parody. I
even
mean,
have to
it's
run it. We just have to read his tweets and just say what happened for the week. And it's just so it's so
I
unrealistic
I will
and so
promise
really out there that it's just funny because it's true.
I will
It's
promise
even
everyone
funnier because it's true.
if Hillary had done this, if Obama had
Oh,
done
they
this,
would oh, they
I
would have
don't
lynched him.
care
Oh,
who had done this shit. I would be making fun of them for it.
we would we would. We would. I would. I
I
know
would.
you would too because we talk all the time. It doesn't be and because when we do. And believe me, the stuff that's coming out like on Twitter about the repression of certain things and all, I'm all for all that coming out. Like I want to know. I want to know about all
Maybe we
this.
should talk
I'm
about a
not
certain law that was passed this past week.
we could. Are you ready? Are you ready? Boo? I was warming you up.
Why don't you go first and then I'll follow in with the nuclear?
All right. So let me. Okay. Don't blow me up. Like
No, no, I
okay. All
won't.
right.
I promise.
Don't blow me up. I can't take another. Like I already getting blown up everywhere else on social media. I don't need it here too. All right. So what happened was we had another another act passed in both the House and the Senate, which was really nice. And here we can see that this is the progress of it. This is from the Congress's own website about bills. You can go look up if you get the name of one and you get the HR number, you can follow the whole process. But actually this one's called the Respect for Marriage Act. And this became important to the Senate and to the House and to those members of Congress that decided that since the Supreme Court was making these statements, and I mean Clarence Thomas specifically, that they were going to start looking at uh, the rights of individuals to be married and what was right or what was wrong, and kind of made it like mm, people's just right to anything was going to be challenged anymore. This is one of the issues that came forward, and that is the right for two people to marry, regardless of race or sex. Okay, so this is a double deal here. It says two people as individuals. It takes out of law anything in the federal laws that there's specific things here that state that certain laws that had that marriage was between a man and a woman have been eradicated. They take that right out and they say two individuals. But they say two individuals. They are not going for the poly whatever and not getting into any of that. They just say two individuals, which means that that now includes same sex, okay? And it also covers federally interracial marriages. Okay. So it does a little bit, but it also doesn't do a lot. Okay. Unfortunately, it does the same thing as we had with Roe versus Wade. It gives us federal protection that the states don't have to honor. if they already have a law on the books that contradicts it. It does say that religious beliefs will be protected. They're not requiring churches to perform marriages. They are requiring federal institutions and anybody operating under the federal umbrella, we'll think businesses or whatever, that you can't discriminate by the type of marriage that it is. You cannot say that LGBTQs are not married if they're married, and you still have to give them all of the same benefits and rights that you would give any other married couple in regards to health benefits, all that other kind of stuff. Unless, of course, you've already ratified some kind of law to specifically exclude them, which is ridiculous. Like that's the failing of the law here. It doesn't give us any protection there, and I know that's hard for you, Quiz, because it only goes so far. It does allow language and correction in language in our federal existing laws, which was nice to see that they did try to at least clean that all up. Um, but as far as the state issue, it does make it a little bit iffy. And I can understand the concerns there because then it's going to have to go right back down to the states again, right?
Mhm.
And eventually, because it'll take appeal and everything else. But it's a nice, pretty little law. Look at that.
It's a bullshit law.
Pretty
It's
much.
what I expect out of spineless politicians.
I don't think it went far enough. I will agree with you there. I will say I did appreciate the cleaning up of language in existing
Oh,
law
sure,
in
the cleaning
existing
up the
bills.
language is
Yeah.
great, except it doesn't apply to anything.
Oh, well, it does. It actually they can no longer use that federal law for the states to pass their own law. You see, they no longer have that support. See,
Well,
I don't think
I
you're looking
mean,
at that part of it. Like if the state decides that they're going to say no, I'm telling you that like marriage is only between a man and a woman. Now there can be pushback on the other side to say no. The federal law states any two individuals. No,
right.
you're making a separate law, and you're going to have to convince us. It makes the argument bigger, larger, and there's more pushback on it. It does give you a little bit more weight and things to fight with against states trying to
Well,
make these laws.
it will slow down the dismantling of LGBTQ rights by the Supreme Court
Hmm.
because the law will have to go into effect. People have to be sued. It'll have to go through the appellate process, and eventually get to the
Hmm.
Supreme Court, which is probably 4 years away.
Hmm.
The Supreme Court decided this what back in 2015, 13, somewhere in there, that you know gay marriage was protected.
Right.
And now they're gonna turn around and say, "No, it's not."
Hmm. Yep, and it's about existing state laws that are there. I think it is going to be harder to create new ones. You're right, but
As far as I'm concerned, um, we have in this country reached a point where our Supreme Court is no longer an apolitical body.
hmm,
And from this point forward, what we're going to see is stacking the deck every chance they can get, and the rights will swing every 10 years, one way or the other, depending on the politicalization of the court.
hmm, which is why I really think equality needs to be, edified, ratified, actually into the Constitution with an amendment. Like seriously. Just individual people's rights. It needs to include everybody. They say the right to liberty, justice, peace, all of that, but then they allow this kind of stuff to go on for select parties to be
Mm.
prejudiced against, for bigotry, um,
I
racism
mean,
of all
and
type.
don't get me wrong, because this has happened as far back as the Constitution was written, where a person wasn't a whole person unless they owned land and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
A
there were
person
laws that
wasn't a
said certain
right.
people couldn't own land, so they could
Mm-hmm.
never be a person.
Right. So you had no rights unless you had property. right?
Right.
And I get that, and that's why it needs to be amended to be for the now, and I don't mean like just to go for a whim on what's popular now, this or not. I'm just talking about basic human rights and protections, putting
And
them
I
in
agree with you, but
more
in
better language.
1964 we had the what was it? The uh, protections of people of color.
Yes, we did. Yeah,
And yet,
yeah.
can you say today that that law has been 100% effective?
Not 100%. No. Is it better? There are no separate bathrooms. Everyone gets to come into a restaurant. Um, so,
Well, no, what they do now, though, if you haven't noticed, and we're just starting to see these things because now we have
you mean the
cameras.
micro? Are we going to talk about the microaggressions and how people just try to get away with it, like and not,
Well,
like,
no,
yeah.
now you have restaurants. If they don't want to seat you, they just say, "We don't like the way you're dressed. Thank you, goodbye."
Well, I don't think.
Because you can refuse on anything other than their race, but you can look at them and say, "I don't like the way you're dressed. Goodbye." Well, I'm dressed the same way as happened. I'm not going to argue with you. It's
You know
my
what? I
goodbye.
hear you. I hear you, Quiz, and I get the frustration of that. But how do we legislate shitty people to not be shitty people? Like, really, there's no way to legislate somebody's bad behavior. They're just crappy. We just need to call them out for being crappy individuals, like, because
Yes.
we can't legislate them for their bad attitudes. Because, like, can you imagine, like, what will we have? Don't be a dick laws. Like, if
Well,
you're an
it's
asshole, you
okay.
pay more in tax. Like, you know what I'm saying, though. I
Oh, I
get what you're
agree,
saying.
but at
It's
the
wrong.
same time,
They try
in
to get
certain
around it. Yeah.
states, they don't even pretend
Mm-mm.
at this point. It's
It
just
is
like, yeah, we're
because
just going to turn our head.
Right, because they're going with the common attitude of the area, and that's why when things go to the states, it's about the people in that state, which is why they always say like state proceeds, because it's about that jurisdiction there and what they're thinking and feeling and how they live there, with the attitude that every state is different and every state's allowed to be different because it's almost just individualistic,
Wow.
right?
When
But
you start
like a
taking
bad
away the
attitude,
rights of one, you're
you
taking away
take
the rights of
I
all.
hear you. I hear you because
Wasn't there
they're
isn't
doing
there
it.
some sort of special saying about, when they came for the Jews, I did nothing. When they came for the, you know, whatever, I did nothing. When they came for this, I did nothing. And then when they came for me, there was no one left to do anything.
Exactly. And that's the problem, is that if you allow it to happen to one certain type of person or anything, like, it's going to happen to you too eventually. And these are the same people that scream about religious freedoms and beliefs and this, that, and the other thing, and their right to live their way. But in order to have the right to live your way, you have to give that right to others. Like, it's not exclusive to
Hmm.
just one
Hmm.
person's rights, okay? To have that work, everybody has to be entitled to it, or it
Right.
doesn't work, okay? So they're screaming foul about this, that, and the other thing without allowing it on the other side. That's just never, ever
Which
gonna work.
was proven this past week in Virginia
Mhm.
when a restaurant had a group of bigots in it, and the wait staff said, "We're not waiting on them." And the manager walked up and said, "I'm sorry, you're going to have to leave the restaurant. Nobody here wants to wait on you." And now they turned around and said, "Oh my God, look, we've been canceled because of our Christian viewpoint."
Wait, why wait, see, that should be offensive to Christians out there. You got a group of bigots saying it's Christian to be a bigot. Where is the opposition on this? How do they allow that to go forward? That's not a religious belief to put down other people based on race or sex. That is not a Christian religious belief. It is a mindset that a group of people have tried to force into it, and it's making y'all look bad. Why are you not fighting against it?
Because they haven't come for them yet. It's that simple.
Yeah,
Eventually, they're going to come for them.
that's
And
crazy.
then they're going to be like, well, you can't do that. This is what we're supposed to be based upon. Yeah, but you're based upon the wrong denomination, honey. You're based upon the wrong idea in this, only this specific idea is going to be accepted. So if you're belonging to one of the other 3,000 different churches in the United States, that you're wrong.
I know. I get it. And that's why, like, we kept remember when this was coming down the pike, this Marriage Equality Act, and we were talking about it for weeks. It passed this, it passed that. They're all talking about it, and we stayed away from it because it was a little disheartening to know that it just doesn't do enough. Because we can almost see Roe versus Wade happening all over again.
Oh, it will. It will.
Mhm. It's
I
going to
mean,
get
and the,
dropped
and the
down to the
judges have already
states.
said they
Yep.
want it to happen.
That's it. It's going to drop down to the states and become a state by state by state thing again, which is kind of sort of what we have now anyway. And
Hmm.
it just doesn't seem fair. I understand the premise of giving local jurisdiction to the people because that's where the loudest voice is. I understand what they're trying to do there, but without those actual protections to individuals built into the Constitution, so it can't happen in the states where you actually violate someone's rights. Okay. When you tell two people they can't get married, that's a violation of their rights. Okay. When you
Yeah,
it when you try to tell me what to do with my body as a woman,
it's a
i-
violation of.
that's a violation of my rights as a human. Not like a female human, yes, but as a human, okay?
And here shortly is this is going to be the repeal of Roe versus Wade is going to be the jumping point for the sodomy laws returning. Because if we can tell females that they can't have abortions, we can tell males you can't have sex like this.
Well, oh my God.
This is exactly what's going to happen.
Well, I can't wait to open the statute of limitations and make windows for those laws if that happens. Because those lawmakers looking at those laws are going to be the first ones in the court. I'm going to tell you that right now. Be careful. Be careful what they ask for, because the look back alone, I don't really see them being protected in any way. Uh, mm.
Well, I would like to work with the FBI on that sting operation.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. I'm sure
we
you would.
got we
Like,
got 430 of our representatives
yeah.
having sodomy, so they're
Yeah.
all under arrest now.
Exactly. I just like it just gets a little dicey. I think we
Doesn't
really
it
do.
sound like we're going back to the days of the Puritans and soon we'll be dunking witches again?
I really hope not. Those outfits really itch. They're stiffy. They were stiff. They're like really ugly. They're made out of horrible materials that just like rub your skin. Like, no, quiz. No, we can't go back
And
there.
remember, we can only have things made out of cotton.
I do like cotton. It's the soft kind, okay? Like not the rough like stuff. I just can't. Are you kidding? I'm gonna get like burned at the stake if we go back to that stuff. Like I feel threatened, quiz. I feel seriously threatened. I don't know. It's like it's getting like where do we all fit in anymore? Like they're not
I'm going to
allowing
Berlin
space.
personally. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't care about the rest of you.
Yes. Like, I feel yeah. I don't know. I don't even know where we're all going to be able to be because they're just not allowing individuals to be individuals. It's almost like tribalism rules, and that's it. It's us versus them.
Well, it
How
is
dare you? Like, and pick a
with
side or else. And oh my God,
with
I
the
just
decline, as we are seeing the decline of religious belief in America, the churches are scrambling more and more to keep hold
Mhm.
of the power that they had. And this is just another attempt that they're continuing to just hold on because they're about to become defunct in the United States. They are getting close to that point. I mean, last
Mm,
time I saw it was what, 60-40?
mm,
And
yeah.
yet they have such a big voice? How is that possible?
Just the long-term plan. Just a political office, political voice. Mm, and it all also has to do, unfortunately, in our country. I'm not going to speak for the rest of the world, but in our country, as to being the top percenters. And it seems to be that their opinion, because they have the money behind it, gets the most play because it's a
Because it
capitalist.
has the money behind it.
Yes, because let's just be real. Politics in the United States is a capitalist venture.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Okay,
is.
because it's a capitalist country and it's everything we do is a capitalist venture. I mean, have to be when I talk to people about marriage in general, and don't come for me, quiz. I'm not trying to be insulting. They even consider that a capitalist venture
Well, of
anymore.
course it
Like,
is.
because it's like, well, what are you bringing to the table, and what are you bringing to the table? I just saw a speech of a woman who went off and said that women, because we work now and pay our own way, don't bring enough into the marriage anymore, and that's why men aren't marrying women.
Hey, if
And
it
I was like,
works. Sounds like the
okay.
gay agenda's working to me.
I just like the gay agenda. This is it. This is it. Like, I was just like, stop it, quiz. But no, but I did, and she was very well spoken and like she seemed quite intelligent and everything, and she just laid it out on there how I was gonna be alone for the rest of my life because I have a brain, a sense of humor, can pay my own way. Nobody wants me because I'm not bringing anything to the table for marriage. And I'm like, well, that's fine because I don't want to marry anybody anyway. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's the other way around. Like, show me what you're bringing to the table because I already have all that. Like, what are you bringing? Okay, and it's got to be what the kind of like, and I don't want to be stereotypical, but I'm gonna have to. Like, I would be looking for compassion and understanding, and all of that. Not exactly qualities that are like out there with the a lot with people in general anymore. So what are you gonna bring to the table? So like, okay, so say I'm not marriage material, that's just fine. But to tell me that I'm not because I can pay my own way and I kind of know a little bit about the world and how it works. But like, no, I can't cook really, really well. I am an
Well,
excellent chef. I am an excellent provider of good food. Okay, and make people happy with it. But I'm not gonna ever make a man happy anymore because of that. And I want to figure that out. I mean, laundry still gets done, the house is still clean, like everything. I don't get it, lady. I don't get it. Why?
being a stay-home husband,
Mhm.
I almost said wife, but I figured that they wouldn't like that. Um, I can tell you it doesn't take all day to clean a house.
It doesn't. It being, you could say stay home partner because they're
Yeah,
female or male. It doesn't
but
have to have a separate,
I'm
right?
sorry, but if you're a stay-home partner and you're the only one in the house, it just doesn't take all day. Might take you the morning.
No, and there are plenty of other things you can do, especially like, supportive things. My point being, why does it have to be in a niche? Why is she saying women had to feel, or any partner,
Mm,
support partner, has to fit a certain niche to be an actual partner? Because why can't it just be equal?
because we want to go back to the 1950s.
But that didn't work. Remember? Everyone was on Valium. They smoked excessively and drank themselves
Wait,
into
wait, hold on,
comas
hold on,
in
hold
the
on, hold on.
50s.
You're making arguments for going back to 1950s. You're making arguments going against
Yeah, I
1950s.
could use the Valium, but it's true. There was a huge addiction of the housewives with Valium. There was the thing called the Stepford wives out there back then where everybody was just like black, nothing happened, like everybody was vacant, nothing, you did whatever. Like, they complained about it then too.
Well, of
They
course they
complained
did.
they complained about being bored, unappreciated, felt like chattel, furniture in their own house, okay? Like, they didn't even have a first name half the time.
But
Women
isn't that what they were? Furniture in their own. I mean, seriously, that's how they were treated in the 1950s as property.
I don't.
You're my woman. You're staying in my house. You'll
Yes,
do what I tell you.
yes, exactly. But
So
and then, hmm, oh, I would gladly. I just want to be like just equal. Like I don't care if
yeah,
my partner wants to stay home or I want to stay home or whatever. Wait, we both get to stay home. I don't care. Work from home, don't work, whatever. As long as we have a roof over our head and food on the table and a comfortable, equal lifestyle, everybody gets their say. I'm fine with it. I'm
right.
totally, totally fine with it. And you know what? Tim, we don't actually discriminate against nudists here on my channel. It's almost a requirement for some of my shows. So,
If
like,
you couldn't
yeah,
tell.
no discrimination here. I am not a fan of clothes. I'm not a fan of having to put on airs, and that includes having to dress up for the general public, like in a certain way. I'm not a fan. So, like, I hear you. They shouldn't be discriminated against at all. They won't be on my channel or at my house. So there you go. Oh, mm, Fortune seems to like those days. Are you talking about the Valium drinking and smoking days? I think so. Yeah. Oh, but I don't know why they want to go back to the past. I mean, everybody always thinks the grass is greener on the other side. Why can't we just fix the now a little bit? Make it more comfortable for everybody. I don't see. Like if they want that, I have no problem with people that actually want that in a relationship, okay? That hierarchy, if that's
Mhm.
what they want and two people are actually
As long as their partner agrees.
as long as there's consent and they agree, and that's just fine with me. Why can't you allow me to have it to not want it? Like
Mhm.
I'm allowing you to have it. Why can't you allow me to have what I want too? Which is just equal. I find nothing wrong with women or gentlemen who want to stay home and not work and just be a support partner that way. If that's what they want, fine. Because I do believe there's respect in the relationship. I do believe there's communication in the relationship, and that there's a meeting of the minds. So why not? All
I
right.
agree.
But to tell everybody that that's half the way it has to be,
Yep.
or
You got to do it
else,
our way or no way.
right? I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Why is it our way or the highway? That I don't understand. Like, mm,
It's simple because in the Bible, Jesus said, either you stand with me or you stand against me.
mm, that I
Or
don't
was
like
that
that.
George Bush?
I don't. You know
The
what?
same, aren't they?
You know what? If you had told me 10 years ago that there would be a George Bush quote anywhere near me and my head wouldn't explode, I wouldn't have believed you. But actually, he might have been right. I don't know. I can't believe I just said that. And praise the
Oh,
cheeses, Robski.
well,
Yes, bring me cheese. Bring
I
me
just
cheese.
looked it up and it is in Matthew and Luke and Mark. Whoever is not with me is against me.
Okay.
And whoever does not gather with me scatters. Wow. He was such a nice guy. You have to believe what I believe or we'll be your enemy.
Okay. Well, that's why nothing gets done. As long as that mentality is going to be out there, there's going to be is fighting. All there's going to be in is decreasing size. This side gets bigger, that side gets smaller, and then this side gets bigger, and that side gets smaller, and it's going to keep going back and forth till the end of time. And nothing's ever going to get done. This is this is not conductive for getting anything done,
Yeah.
at
But
all.
you know what this reminds me of a lot?
Hmm.
Politics.
Yes, political.
Politics.
Political. Yes, political politics. Yes, it does. And I've had this act up here forever, but I don't think anybody had any questions about it. But
I don't think so.
Nope. So I'm gonna take that back down because but that I do have that linked below. Um it, I'm trying to think if I missed any of the many, many lawsuits. What
Oh goodness.
I don't know. What let's see what else we saw. Oh, can I just say one thing? How the hell was it so close between Herschel Walker?
Oh good lord.
How, how the hell did it get?
I think we found a large pocket of MAGA support.
Why was it so
Seriously.
close?
Okay. I mean, I normally don't watch a lot of news outlets. Just
Did
I just
did,
don't.
did you
I would rather read it and, make up my own mind, but I just happened to be switching by CNN one day, and they had a political strategist, a Republican strategist on there,
hmm
and they were asking her, why Herschel Walker? Couldn't you found anybody else?
And what did she
And
say?
can you really say that, you support him now? And her response was, in a nutshell, was he's a Republican. No matter what he chooses to believe, we are going to support him.
And that's where things get crazy. When you say party over belief, that's crazy. Party over issue is insanity. Okay, that's insanity. This was a problematic person. And he did have Donald Trump's support. We know that. And so they were like, okay, if you're either with us with the route. That's the tribalism there that I
Yeah,
can't go
yeah.
with. And that in politics doesn't get anything done. It speaks of agenda, it smells, it means,
Well,
it's
I got
kinda
news for you.
like
There's
being
nothing going to be
damn
done
bullies.
politically for the
Yeah,
next 2 years.
I know,
Period.
too damn
It's
slow.
over
I
with.
know.
We might as well just stop listening to it because all they're going to do is headbutt, 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 headbutt.
Yeah, well, come over the last couple of years, it's been like that anyway. Like, I haven't seen anything really come to the floor. They keep trying with all this little stuff. They're not able, the negotiations are so tight that nothing actually, even this bill that they just passed, that they're toting to be the best thing ever. And I
Yeah,
do support the change of language. Don't get me wrong. I do think that's a movement in the right direction, and I'm all for it because, I say that all the time. They got to actually change the language in the laws
right.
to
They
prevent
do.
them from
I
being
agree.
used against people, and I'm advocating for that on many different
But
issues here
I don't understand where you get the respect for marriage out of this act because I really don't see it.
because they said it was between 2 people now, only 2 people.
Yeah, only if you're in a state that supports it.
Well, see, mm. Okay, let me just change the name of it. It's respect for marriage as it should be if states didn't do asshole things anyway.
There we go.
Okay? All right? Did I make it clear? Well, I mean, that's what it actually does. It's like, yes, we would hope that common sense would prevail. And here we are, we're telling you how it should be, but we can't change the world in a day, is kind of what they're admitting. They don't have
Mm,
the power. Unfortunately, quiz, the way everything is written, they don't have the power to change the states. The states have to do it willingly. But here's what could happen. By putting it out there with this law as federally accepted to be this way, more people in those states will know about it. Knowledge is power. Those people get to vote, and the state won't be able to pass it, like is happening with some of the states with with all the abortion laws that are coming forward. The people themselves are squashing them, going, that's going too far. Okay, we can hope that that may happen this way. It does lay the foundation for it. It gives them the strength to do it by having this federal regulation and the changing of the wording in all of the laws
right.
there to back them up. It gives others a platform to push on. Now there can be a pro and con in those states, and they've got the federal legislation behind them on the con. Okay, so that when they try to pass these things, there's going to be some pushback. So it does allow the pushback. It does put a little more muscle into what people want to put forward if the majority is there. We just have to get more people to look at the issue in a more benign way. We are not attacking people's religion when we say that people are allowed to do what they want,
Hmm.
because we're actually telling the religion people they can do what they want to. We just want to sing. Would you agree? I mean, in the more common sense we get that out there, that they're allowed to do what they want also, but onto as long as it's not
You know, I
infringing
I
on
think
the
we have been
individuals.
making that abundantly clear
We tried for
since
centuries.
day one,
I know.
but they are saying, "No, this is how we believe, and you have to go by what we believe, or we're not gonna go with you."
It's not a very Christian attitude.
That is a Christian way. That is exactly what Jesus said. Either you are for us or you're against us.
Yeah, but when I was growing up, these were the most like Christianity in itself, right there. They were the ones giving to, they taking care of the poor, not judging
Well, let's
people,
not get into
open
that because
arms,
I have
welcoming
problems
everybody.
with Christian soup kitchens who, demand prayer before every meal and will hand out tracts with every meal and will go around and proselytize before you can eat
Yeah,
and
but
things like that.
they're
If you
practicing.
want to help poor people, but don't throw your religion in their face before you help them.
I get that, but still, it's they're doing it in their religion. So I can't really say that they can't. You know what I mean? Because they're not forcing you to pray. You're just exposed to it, which we're going to have to tolerate. We don't have to agree with with what they're doing, but I kind of weigh it out that they are, if they are a religious organization doing it and they're doing it within their religion, then why can't they pray? I mean,
I don't
I
okay.
should there be more neutral soup kitchens? It would be nice if the non-religious people would go and make some soup kitchens. Yo,
Yeah,
that
but
would be
what
great.
I'm
But
saying
they're
is
not. They're not.
let's not build this up as them saying we're doing all this great work because they're not. They are proselytizing. Their whole deal is not to feed the hungry. Their whole deal is to proselytize the poor, to
True.
proselytize the homeless, to proselytize. They've got a whole group of people, if they proselytize them and they pull them into their church, they've got more numbers. They've got
Mhm.
more pull. They've got the majority now.
That's true.
So let's not sit here and pretend that they're doing good things just for the
No,
sake of doing good things
no, it's not just
because
for the
that
sake
is
of doing
not
things.
what they're doing.
Nope.
They are doing these things to make sure their church grows
You're saying
and
that
gives
there's
them
agenda. There's agenda there.
there is an agenda there.
And I'm not saying that there's not. I'm just saying they do have a right to pray if it's their church and it's their soup kitchen. That's what I'm saying.
I
And I
don't
do wish
mind the
that there
prayer
were
as much as I
other.
mind that they turn their prayer into a whole, you know, 10-minute talk.
True. And, they're preaching and everything. But again, their house. You know what I'm saying, Quiz? Like their house.
Then
All
let
I
us
would say,
recognize it for what it is. It's
exactly. And that's
proselytizing,
what we're
it's
doing.
not feeding the homeless. The
And that's
feeding
what
the
we're doing.
homeless is a secondary thing to them.
It's a byproduct, right? But that's why I'm saying, why aren't there more soup kitchens that aren't related to religious organizations and things like that? So I could even it out a little bit, like give people a choice. But it's hard because there's not that many people that want to do something with for just for the sake of it being the right thing to do. There are not that many soup kitchens out there that just feed the poor just because the poor need to be fed. There's not, because people don't do that anymore, apparently. We
Well,
just don't do it because it's the right thing to do anymore.
well,
We just don't do it. We
one of the
have to have
reasons
an
you don't get it
agenda or
happening
gain.
anymore is
Yeah,
because you get people who come in and say, "What do you mean you're just feeding the poor? You've got to feed their soul too." It's like, no, we don't. We're just going to feed them. No, no, you can't do. There are certain places in California that have gone through urban redevelopment with the saying of, that you can't go down and feed the hungry on the streets anymore because they'll throw the trash in the street.
mm, I know.
Okay, so basically it's okay, but if you're a religious person, you can because you have your religious freedoms. But if you don't believe in a God, you can't go and help somebody because they'll throw the trash in the street. Somebody has to be responsible for that trash, right? Of
That's
course, if it's a religious organization, they don't care if they're throwing shit in the street. It's okay because they have a God behind them.
mm. And I get it. There's no winning. There's absolutely no winning because I don't want the soup kitchens to close, but because I want that food there for people too.
Sure.
But
And
like I
so do
said,
I.
I
But
wanted to
don't
go
let's not
right,
let's call it
but
what it is though.
call it what it is, exactly, and that doesn't mean that they're not doing. I'm not saying they're not doing some good, because obviously they are. If they're feeding the poor, they're feeding the poor. That is something that it's unfortunate needs to be done in a country this rich, which is only rich at the very top. If you, I think
Hmm.
I think people that are coming here to America are starting to discover how difficult it actually is. That the rich and everything that everybody thinks that America is apparently only applies to the top 10% without strings. All of us down here, we got prices to pay for it
Yep.
over and over again. Um, uh, it's quite unfortunate, because I wish that some of that 10% would be providing these soup kitchens without religion because they can afford to. Okay, and just like, have a place where, if you don't have a roof over your head or food on your table, you get a meal and a place to sleep for the night. It would be nice, you know. But
Yeah, it's not like we
we
don't
have
have
to
enough
depend.
abandoned buildings out there that
Mhm.
we couldn't just let people sleep there. But
When you have to depend on the fringes of society to provide those kind of things, that those people do get, they're a vulnerable percentage of our country, and they are going to be targeted by all kinds of people, cults, religions, everything. Even just shysters and scammers and
yeah,
thieves, they are targeted by
government
everyone.
running black
Hmm.
projects, taking them
All
down
that.
and down and through the
Hmm.
sewers and doing experiments on them.
Right.
Yeah, all that
Because
stuff's gonna happen.
it's a vulnerable class. When you're down and out, and you become vulnerable, and you're going to be victim to all of this. So it's not just, religious groups in general. It is just it's a lot of them.
Oh,
In
of course.
and it's a shame. But here in America, we make that possible by not taking care of our own.
We make that
Period.
possible by being a purely capitalistic society.
Right, because we don't take care of our own. Can't we do both? I mean, what do you call it when you do both? You're capitalistic society, but
Capital
you still
socialism?
take care of your people. Like you s
Socialism, socialistic capitalism? I don't know, but
like
we
you
can't use that socialistic term in there. Just even though
oh,
we are
because you're
already.
I say yes we can, because none of us live in a damn bubble. What the hell? They became allergic to the word social. Like, that society is based on the word social. Come on.
Oh, you know what's going to
Serious.
happen now? The religious right's going to come in and start saying we need to change the name of our society because it has the word socialistic. It starts with social.
Oh, oh my
Now,
God.
now you did it. Now you did it. You gave him another talking point.
Oh my God, I gave him Jesus. I would laugh so hard if that's on the news tomorrow, Quiz. You're gonna be sending me news clips and everything. But or yeah, Bubble Girl comes out against society. Yep. We are not in a bubble. None of us. I mean, come on. There's got to be a way. Take care of the people and still be able to be capitalistic. There's got to be a middle of the road kind of thing, because people can't support a capitalistic country if they can't pay their own way, if they don't have a place to live or eat or an education. It
Well, I
doesn't
think I
work.
think this all goes to this is too big of a mess to talk about on a political show. Let's just say that because it
What kind of
goes.
show can you talk about this on? There isn't one. We can't.
You'd have to be talking about humanitarianism
Oh, that'll
in a
be later
capitalistic
tonight.
society.
Hmm.
And there's plenty of people out there who would be good at this, who could explain it a whole lot better than I could.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe a little better than you can.
I'm gonna bring it up later, because hopefully we'll have some people over there. We're doing humanitarian rights and everything, and I do want
Yeah,
to approach that subject. How do you have capitalistic country with a humanitarian undertow all the way through it? Like, take care of your own people.
right.
How can that be done? I really want to see that to be a platform. I'll vote for those people. Just say it. It's what's missing.
I agree. But
Mm.
as far as it goes politically, it ain't gonna happen. We're never gonna see governmental assistance to the point that we need to make sure, unless they provide UBI. Okay,
What?
sorry.
In case?
Um,
Oh, nope. Okay.
Universal health care.
Yes, but I
Um,
There was there's good and there's bad in all of it. Oh my
you
god,
know,
but still,
I mean, that's the really the
you
only
know,
way. If
the
you want to run a
problem.
capitalist society,
Mhm,
everybody has to have
it is
a
true.
basic monthly stipend
Mhm.
to live. I mean, that is it.
And that doesn't work either. Because here's the thing, you said universal healthcare. You know why that fails? Because healthcare is an industry and a business in a capitalist country like this.
Exactly.
And so there's no way that's ever going to work because
Yeah,
it's
all of
all
a
about
sudden
the bottom line.
insurance
Yeah.
companies are gonna have to downgrade by about
No.
75%. I mean,
I don't agree that everybody should have a stipend. What I do agree, what I do agree that is some industries here that actually take care of the people need to be
what do you
more
do with the
open and not
people
profit
who
minded.
aren't working? How are they going to survive?
Well, you would hope that we could get to that we're not in that situation.
Well, we're in that situation, so how do you do it? I mean,
Those
I'm not
people.
living in a bubble at this point, so
No, I know, and right now we do have several systems that work for those people. We've got the unemployment system, which works if you've been employed before, and then we do have a socialistic type of welfare system for those who are indigent beyond being
yeah,
able to
and
take care of
let's
themselves
talk
at all.
about that. Let's talk about the unemployment system that only lasts anywhere between 3 and 6 months, and what happens if they don't have a job after that.
Tell me about it. That happened in COVID, and there was all these extensions and all these drains on the system and all this like backpedaling, and then we got to run forward and put this law in
And
here
it's funny
and
how
that
it
law
has
in here.
all the drains
It's
on the system, and yet we managed to spend $782
billion
trillion dollars,
dollars. Yep.
or was it
Mhm.
$1 billion on our military?
But here,
I mean,
what
come
we
on.
wait, Quimon, we did pay a lot of people during the pandemic to stay home. Those that lost their jobs, those that this, there was special amendments, emergency amendments that were done to unemployment in most of the states. Okay, that did take care of people. Like things did get done to try at least, and a lot of money got spent with no money coming back in for it. So like I understand that the military budget is way, way out there, and we look at a number like that and we say, wow, we could solve a lot of problems with that. But when I also look around the world, I do see the need that that military budget needs to be pretty big.
I see a need for a strong military. I don't see a need for a military that has the kind of budget we have at this point.
We have been quite fortunate in our country that the wars that we fought were not here on our land. If you look at what's going on in these countries that are being have war right there. Like, let's just look at Russia and Ukraine. Okay. In Russia actually targeting civilians. If that happened here in America, come on, quiz. Like civilians being dragged
Okay,
into war.
we're talking David and Goliath.
I understand what you're saying.
Let's see what
But
happens when Russia decides to
Russia,
fire a few of their drones into Poland.
okay. That's
Because
what I'm
then it's David against David.
okay. And
But
I
it's really
understand that.
not. It's
And I understand
the
that. But
whole of the
this
West crushing Russia.
Yeah,
So
thi this is what I'm talking about. I don't really push back against as much money. I do think money has to be fairly distributed. Everything. I would like some things looked at a little bit more, but I don't really. I have seen the benefit in my lifetime of that budget. Um, And I think if we decreased it, we would have more trouble. We've already lost a lot of our political standing throughout the world based on things that our ex-president has done and said, and relationships that have been broken and need to be repaired. Or I see the major organizations that were supposed to unify most of our countries together, failing and becoming nothing but talking heads, just like CNN or Fox or anybody else with a left and a right opinion, and nothing ever gets done. Um, without, unfortunately, in this world, without the weight of that military budget behind you and the willingness to protect yourself, oh, you don't have a voice out there.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying though that again we're in this mindset of the top 10%,
Hmm.
and the rest of us can go to hell. We're out
Mhm.
here struggling, and the government puts out a pittance to us, and we look at it and go, "Oh, thank God they did that."
Yeah.
They could have done much more. Let's talk about the programs that were going on in Europe compared to what happened in America.
Mhm.
When the Europeans were being restricted and can't go to work, they were getting paid 90 to 95% of their paycheck.
Mhm.
Were we?
Mm.
Where's
Mm.
how can a state or a country like France pay their citizens 95% of their paycheck
Mhm.
when they're not working, and yet we can't do the same for our own citizens?
We could if it didn't get legislated down.
And
I'm
there we
saying,
go. We're back to
okay,
political.
right. That's why it's political. That's why, because it's poop. Because you're right. I'm not going to argue against that. Financially, here with the taxes that we paid, if it was structured a little bit more fairly, because let's say it does need to be revamped a little bit, because the people that make the laws are the ones protecting their own goddamn money. Okay,
And protecting
not
the money
right.
that they have invested in other
Uh,
companies. I mean, I'm
ex
just saying.
I'm just saying when, the people writing the laws are the ones, giving themselves their bonuses and giving themselves their tax break, and I get that. But that all needs to go back, because there would be more money, because the tax system, there is a lot of money there. And there
Mhm.
are things that could be done with it uh more fairly. And you're right, because a smaller country, okay, like that's able to give somebody out of work 95% of their pay, so that they don't have the fallback on a system. They're not playing catch up for years, okay, in their life, because they were displaced from employment, through no
Mhm.
fault of their own. It's not fair. Okay. And especially
Right.
in a larger company like us, where there's more employment to be had than in France, like you would think that that would be more
Yeah.
beneficial, you know.
I mean, when companies grow during a pandemic, and yet we still see people coming out of the pandemic in worse shape than they went in, yet the corporations that they so-called work for
Are
grew in
true,
profits. I have
true.
a problem with that.
Well, so do I, because here's the thing: like now, we have to admit that in our country, if you do lose your job, you almost immediately become less employable,
Mhm.
because now you've got a budget. You've got to look at yourself. You're losing like your regular access to the internet and cell phone. You've got to budget these things. You may not be able to have the transportation you normally have, the freedom to get around. You become less and less employable the longer you are unemployed, okay, because of these
And
things,
as soon as your assistant programs run out, because once your unemployment runs out, there's no money coming in.
right. Even just staying up to date in your particular field, the longer
Yep,
you're out of it, the more you become unemployed. It was
it
pretty
is
rough.
true.
The
So,
individuals took
UBI
a hit,
doesn't sound like a bad thing all of a sudden.
except for when you call it UBI, because
But
everybody
it
knows
is
that
what it
is it.
is.
It is, but it can't work. It will never work, quiz, in this country, because the insurance industry is for profit.
Well,
Period.
a lot of industries are for profit, and that's the problem. They
And
only
that's
look at the bottom dollar. They
that's the
don't look at
problem.
the people who are making those bottom dollars for them. So,
And until, like, we can't even address that. How are we going to tell the insurance industry you can't be an insurance company for profit anymore? You
well,
just got to
here's what
serve
we
the
do.
people.
Everybody listening to this stream need to call two friends and have them call two friends, and each of them have to call two friends and
Mhm.
tell them to call all the insurance companies and ask them about their extended warranties.
Jam up the phone lines and they will collapse the industry. Problem solved. That's brilliant, quiz. I think on that we can end. I think
There
I
you
think
go.
we did everything we got to say.
I have solved the United States problems with the
I
insurance companies.
I think you have. I think you have. You know what? This has been entertaining. I miss talking this crap with you, poop, with you.
It's fun.
Yeah, I hope they all know. Like, it's a general discussion. We're not really disparaging, unless, of course, you came for us, like, certain things. But I do enjoy it. And
It
I'm
has been
sorry.
fun.
I'm sorry if they don't. I don't even care. Like,
Yeah, and
when
let
they
me
come with
give a
me about it.
reminder to everybody who is listening or will listen in the future, and you know the snakes that you are,
Oh, who are we
stay
talking?
out of her DMs.
Oh,
You can find me on
fine
Discord,
quiz,
High Inquisitor, I think it's
fine quiz.
3482.
It's my
Come
new
and talk
PR
to me.
manager.
I would love to talk with you all. Really, really. I have nothing better to do with my day. All I do is take care of the home. And trust me, I can do that easily in 2 hours.
Exactly.
So
Yes, yes. He's
come
much
and talk to
better.
me.
He's much better at it than I am. He is now my new PR representative. All DMs go through quiz from now. Well, you're gonna have some fun. All DMs go through quiz now. It's like or at least after this stream for a little while. But actually, people are pretty fair about actually something like this that you think would be more controversial quiz. Most people have no problem with us doing this at all.
What do I have
It's
to say? Trump sucks?
no, no, they actually they don't care. Like this, they're like, okay, you can say what you want. I don't agree with you, but fine. They're really cool about this. It's the other stuff they get all upset about. Like I get upset about like the legal, like they get upset about the legal stuff. They get upset about other stuff. They get upset about the stuff that isn't even stuff. Like that's the problem. They get upset about the stuff that's not even
Wow.
stuff.
Drama queens.
Drama queens is mostly so like make sure you got your boots on when you go into those DMs is all I could recommend because like there's some
Hey,
shit in
speaking
there.
of getting into our DMs and Discord,
Mm-hmm.
is there a way anybody can get on your Discord server? How does that work?
There sure is, great lead in. I always forget this part. Which, if you would like to join the Discord, it is a perk of membership only. It is a private Discord. You can be a channel member or a Patreon member and immediately get access to that Discord. Or you could be a creative collaborator, and there's many ways to do that. Most of them involve doing a show like this, like Quiz.
Yay!
Okay, or many of my other talk shows, bringing a guest, having a subject, being a researcher, being involved with the channel that way, or be a mod. But I have plenty of mods. I love my mods. I have plenty of mods right now who I respect and admire, and we're all over in the Discord. But it is private, and I hate to keep reminding people of that, but it is. And it is to keep it manageable too, so that
Mm,
most people in there are of a like mind. If you join my channel, then you pretty much believe in freedom of speech and don't really butt up against people about you can have discussions without being disrespectful, and you kind of believe everybody has a right to the air around them to breathe kind of thing, which is good, and we don't have an us versus them mentality at all
mm.
you know
Nope.
um
Well, we do, but it's completely different.
it's more like
It's more like I get all the men and the rest of you can go to hell.
yes, he is like that. He's
Sorry.
very greedy. He really is. He really is. I have to say he's quite greedy, but well, thankfully some of them still come to me on the sly. So therefore, I still get to have conversations here and there. But on that note, I do hope you all like, share, and comment on the video. It does help get it out here into the algorithm. I mean, I get it's a political thing and not everybody wants to know everything about it, but it is pretty funny and it is kind of nice to have these discussions and not get beat up. So I do appreciate those of you in the chat. And to my mods, I thank you very much. To Quiz, thanks for coming and doing this again.
Always
I
having a good
missed
time
it.
up here talking about political.
Political, yes. It's gonna I hope everybody has a good week. And I will be at the Shills later on call for at 6 o'clock, and we'll be talking about human rights around the world and the Marriage Equality Act again, because that's a human rights issue as far as we're concerned over there. And then we'll have murder on Monday again. And a couple other nice things for you. Well, thank you, Quiz. And I
Thank
hope
you.
everybody will come over and join us in so that you can play with Quiz on game night over there. It's a lot of fun in the
And we
Discord.
have we should probably tell people our game night is not just like only on Wednesday.
No, it's been happening a lot lately,
It
especially
does.
because of some of these card games that we play. But I will say it does get competitive. I'm not the only competitive person
I
anymore.
have no idea what you're talking about. Just because I'm level 48 and you're like level 12.
But he's not competitive at all. Did you hear that, Charlie? Did you hear that? But you're not competitive at all. Nope.
No, I'm not.
Nope. Nope. Not at all. But and I'm not the king of games over there. Like they don't call me queen. Nope. Nope. Okay. Uh-uh.
We do
And
if you're the queen, if you're the if you're starting the card games.
if I start a card
If
game,
you're
then
the
I am.
queen, you're the queen
Oh,
card holder.
in the bad cards against humanity? Yeah, we don't play cards against humanity. We play bad cards against humanity over there because we had to get our aggressions out, because it's like a thing. But anyway, have a great afternoon quiz. Thank you,
You too.
everybody in the chat. I'm gonna put
Thanks for being here, everyone.
I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit comments and let us know what you want to talk about next, and I'll try to get
I
quizzes
have a
here.
special closing I want to give.
Sure.
Uni, when you listen to this, come for me, bitch. I
Oh,
dare you.
God, you didn't. You did not. Okay, all right. Well, you heard it. I didn't. It wasn't me. It was him. His High Inquisitor, High
It's right there.
INQ,
Does he not know how to
UIS.
read?
Well, this is why I'm helping. All
Oh,
right,
okay, go ahead. You're right.
SITOR. Okay, just in case there's any doubt. Okay, just in case that was him over there. Okay, over there with the naked chest. Not me. Okay, no,
Come on,
okay.
Uni. Let's play, Uni. You and me.
Oh God, stop. All right, we're out. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Oh God.